All right, all right, all right. TGIF, everyone. What's going on? What's happening? And how are you? Hope you had a great week. Hope you're ready for this change of weather because it is changing. And it got dark today. Let's see, when did it get dark? 5:50ish, something like that. I'm like, oh no, bring back my sunshine. But I enjoyed it while I could. But I hope you guys had a great week. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I always appreciate your like, your views, your shares, and all of that. Tonight, we're going to do a little just chit chatting. That's about it. Nothing real serious. Not to say that I have anything serious. I was hoping to do a few things before the end of the year was out. But oh well, we're going to just do what we do here and just chat. So let's see. I didn't waste my talent for nothing. So we're gonna go ahead and do that thing, we do around here. We're gonna clap them cheeks and get the show started. All right? All right. We know the truth of what you really wanna do. All this live stream talking, not telling truth. Quoting stats like those numbers make it a fact. Those women never would have picked you even where you're at. Winter's here and it's here for you indefinitely. You turn your back on your own damn community. We see your comments in the chat and it's hate speech. You mad at women cause they didn't choose you in their sheets. Name your doctor writing your script cause the dosage off. Flipping the script, women winning talking about they lost. Then 4 years you've been hanging in these YouTube streets. Congratulations, you just earned your bachelor's degree. You wanna clap them cheeks? 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 Those red pills never done nothing for you. I hear Red Bull is on sale, won't you pick up too? Speaking of which, your godfather is dead and gone. No more new quotes for you to carry on. Flip the channel, keep on searching and don't be sad. Never cry about something that you never had. Been 4 years you've been hanging in these YouTube streets. Congratulations, you just earned your bachelor's degree. You wanna clap them cheeks? 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 Shout out to my producer, Rep Scotty. Shout out to Ty City. Keep grinding. All right, all right, all right. Well, let's get it started. You guys know what to do. Let's welcome that wonderful and that lovely and that classic Ruby, everybody.
Okay, y'all, I'm dying today, so you're not going to get a
Oh,
lot of exuberance from me. However, I would like to take this moment, since I have no exuberance or creativity at all, to point out, Char, I see the upgrade in the lyrics. I forgot to mention it the other day. I was like, yo, where's Char? Char got even smoother with these. She's spitting. Now she really spitting. It's like at first she just wanted to put the concept out or something. Now she's taking it serious. She's like, yeah, it's been for years. You've been hanging in these YouTube streets. Congratulations. I'm like, whoa, who the hell is that? Wait a minute. I see you got a little dangerous over there, girl. You've been visiting the studio, doing a little extra recording on the side. Is that what's been happening?
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Mhm. Well, I gotta respect your game, girl. Yeah, that's right. I see your skill there. I see you got a little riz, as the kiddos call it these days. You got that riz in the rap game. You're gonna go far. I feel you. I feel you. So that's where I got that one. How you doing today, Shar?
I am doing well. And I'm sorry to hear you're not doing as well, but hopefully you'll feel better, when we get to talking. I'm hoping.
Yes, fingers crossed. Everyone pray for me today. Pray for me because honestly, I'm not sure how I'm gonna survive, but we're gonna rally. We're gonna get it popping. All right. I know. I said that like the most lackluster gal I've ever heard me, but I'm trying. I'm working on it. It's gonna be great.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now you did mention about rhythm, and that's what we're going to start off with today, about rhythm.
Okay.
Now I mentioned last week about was it last week? No, week before last. I just forgot to mention the update because I had everyone to vote if I should write a note, put under my neighbor's door upstairs because the bed was doing too much squeaking. And the vote was yes. Do it, Shar, do it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So this is the update, everyone. It is better.
Okay.
It is much better.
Hmm.
But his game, straight trash. Still trash. It's just awful. That's last week. I'm like, Lord, what is this man doing? Just why? This week he didn't have as much trouble finishing this time, but I'm like, he better be paying all the bills. If you're gonna be doing that 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning,
Mm.
I mean, I'm like, what is Speedy Gonzalez doing? I'm like, the man is having trouble. Po thing. That's all I could say. I'm like, yeah, he would have to pay all the bills because no, no,
Mm.
no, no.
Mm. Well, Shar, between last week and this week, I think my answer would have changed because this week I finally watched the Jeffrey Dahmer thing everyone's been watching.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, ooh, that neighbor girl, you know what I mean? The one who's big in the story, right? I mean, she was the one who was doing the knocking and the whatever, right? And then you find out it's a serial killer after, and all them
Wow.
things you were complaining about was actually like horror, and you're like, oh. So now I'm like, well, I would have said, okay, put the note under the door, but make sure you wear gloves when you touch the paper, right? In the envelope. You don't want it to be able to trace back to you in no way. Wear a mask when you're dropping it off because you just don't know who your neighbors are. You know what I mean? So I would have said that. I think so. Hopefully you didn't leave too many traces of yourself, and they didn't have no ring doorbell. I don't know if you could do that in buildings, but you know, so that
Mm.
way you can stay safe as sound. I'm telling you, the Jeffrey Dahmer, I mean, I studied that. I did a report on it when I was a kid, like somewhere in high school. And I missed all the part about now we're getting the background of the neighbors and the this and that. And I was like, what a horror show. Like I just felt so bad for that woman. Everyone's busy feeling bad for Jeffrey Dahmer. I felt horrible for that one neighbor woman who keep calling the smell. She's complaining to him. She's complaining to the landlord. She's calling the police. The police are telling her, well, how are we supposed to know an emergency if you call all the time? But maybe
Oh,
you should treat it as an emergency every time she calls.
right.
you,
Hmm.
you would think that that's what 911 is for, and considering that hindsight is 2020, we found out that every time he was killing someone she called you. um yeah, every time, right? But I mean, still, I was just like, oh my god, imagine like that's your neighbor. You just think your neighbor is weird, or they're just annoying, they're just making noise, it bothering you, and you're like, you're assuming what's on the other side is like normal people stuff, but it might
Oh,
not be. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, I'm sure Speedy Gonzalez, all he was doing is knocking boots. He was trying anyway, having a hard time doing it. These experienced ears, no.
Hmm.
And I'll leave it at that. Just
Okay.
shame, just shame. Now, this story I'm bringing up, it's I say shame. It goes into peeping tom, weirdos, and other sexual nature. So I will play it, and then we'll give our little commentary.
Okay.
Arrested a man after he attacked a woman in the shower at an LA Fitness.
Fox 5's Denise Dillon talked to the gym manager and members.
Possibly one of the last places you'd think an assault like this would happen, at your regular gym, inside the women's locker room.
I would be very, very, very creeped out and afraid.
Women shocked, disgusted, and creeped out after a woman was assaulted while taking a shower at the LA Fitness on Terrell Mill Road in Marietta.
How the guy go in the gal's room and do things like this, horrible.
Warrants show this man, 31-year-old Matthew Carlisle, went into the gym a little before closing time last Thursday. According to the warrant, he went into the ladies' locker room and once there, saw a woman taking a shower, stepped into the shower with her, and grabbed her breast while pushing her against the wall.
That's crazy. Like, the ladies were like traumatized. That's very, very scary.
Rachel Riggins, who's a regular here, says she'll be on alert every time she walks through the doors.
Not just looking out for myself, but who else is around me.
The manager told me Carlisle got into the gym with a guest pass. She says while they haven't made any security changes since the incident, she says they regularly do all they can to keep their members safe. Carlisle was arrested and charged with a felony count of peeping Tom, disorderly conduct, and sexual battery.
That's ridiculous. I'm glad he's locked up.
At last check, Matthew Carlisle was still in the Cobb County Jail with a $5,000 bond. In Cobb County, Denise.
Oh boy. A guest pass, he couldn't even, I can't say he couldn't. I'll just say he didn't even pay to get into the gym. This is just crazy. And I got a little small story about my gym experience. It's really nothing with this, but I'll just still share it.
Okay.
I'll let you guys go first. Welcome, Vonda. How are you?
Hey, hey, girl.
Hey, Ruby. I hope you feel better.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, okay, let me go. I'm going to tell y'all that, first of all, this is not as rare as people think that it is. And it's something that what this story made me think of is all of the discussion and hoopla and hullabaloo about just trans people using their self-identified change rooms or bathrooms or whatever, and them saying, oh, they're going to use that as a way to get in there to attack people. Never happens, never has happened, never will happen, but doesn't need to happen. And the thing is that normally they bury stories like this, and they have been for years, because what happens is women get scared and they stop using the associated services, right? They stop using the gym, they stop using the community centers, they stop using these things. So they bury the stories, right? And oftentimes these companies pay a lot of money to the news sources to bury the stories. So that way you don't realize that, no, men do this all the time, right? This dude with this big old beard, he didn't have to pretend that he was a woman to get into the women's change room or to get into the women's locker room or to get into a woman's bathroom. He just strolled on in there. And that was it. And it's not because of modern day and trans and self-identifying and whatever. It's because creeps are going to creep, right? And pervs are going to perv. And because a lot of people just want to mind their business. They don't want to get involved in stuff. They don't want to this. They don't want to that, right? And so even when they do see the wrongdoing happening, they'll turn a blind eye. And dudes like this bank on that attitude from other humans, and they wander in. So they don't need a ruse. They don't need wigs and to dress up and the opposite sex. They don't need it. They don't, because they feel very brave and emboldened to go walk up into the woman only change room dressed as a man, because they're men, and go brighten themselves up. Oh, no, there's no one in here. I don't think I can get caught. You know what? She looked kind of small when she walked in there. Maybe I can overpower her. I swear that's what they really think. And it's sad and it's sick and disgusting. I think that what they need to do, obviously, is have security. It would be kind of illegal for them to put in cameras and say monitor the security
Mm-hmm.
cameras, but why do you not have security at the doors of the locker room, at the doors of the bathrooms of places like this that are super big, and it's a shared area when you go in there. So just have a security guard who just stands there just to monitor who's coming in and out. Just that. You know what I mean? And can hear from
Mm-hmm.
the doorway if there's a scream or a shout or needing help in any way. Why would you not have a woman at the women's locker room door or the bathroom door and a man at the men's locker room door, right? And then there you go. Yes, it would be for these mega corporations, it would be what, an extra 160,000 a year, right? Pay them each 80,000. Oh,
Please.
right?
Not gonna
For
happen.
their billions of dollars that they make. Yeah, they don't care about y'all enough. That's what the problem really is. Hmm.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking about when I saw the story. I said, I was thinking to myself, I had went to the particular gym in the downtown area. I felt that was probably the better place to go, more upscale. And that one particular one had the swimming pool and all of that. And it was it was okay. I'll put it that it was okay. Um, I met a couple of, weirdos there. And one of the guys, which I found, I don't know, I just thought of what happened and I just said I'll share it again. I know I mentioned this before that I had talked to him on the phone and because I'm the person, I take your number. I'm not going to give you mine. So he wanted my number. I took his. I did it that way. So I called him the first time. Nice conversation. But I was confused that he had a pregnant ex-girlfriend. And I continued the conversation, whatever. And then the second time we talked, I was kind of curious about that. I was confused. And he said he was gonna, take care of the child and all that kind of stuff. But I was still confused with that. I didn't get how he was willing and, ready to move on. And by that being, at this time, this was, what is this, 2022? This was maybe 12 years ago. But to see what I see now in the stories and the news, YouTube streets, it's very common. It's normal. But like I said, it really had nothing to do with this. But I wanted just to point out when it comes down to the gym, I did see different type of people there, and it was spaced out because it was a large, place. And because I went in the evening, I liked Friday evenings to do the sauna and the shower. I just enjoyed that. But I had to stop because I didn't feel comfortable. I really didn't feel comfortable. Some of the women were strange. This one lady, she never completed an entire class. Never. She'll come into class when it starts, do a little bit of it, and leave. Start the machines, do a few machines, leave. And she always carried this darn container of water with her. So every time you heard it, she's making that noise with the ice. It just because it was always ice in it. So I was wondering how you always have ice. There's no ice in this building. Where you get this ice from? And she just always had it. So she was always rattling. And I was in a sauna, minding my business, having a nice, quiet time. She comes in there and starts singing to the top of her lungs. I said, yep, yep. I'm out of here. So I had left and I just started watching or tried to watch her schedule from then on so I can avoid her. Because I'm like, this is just one weird chick. And she always kind of find her way near people that probably didn't want to be around her. So after my experience at this particular place, I said, you know what? I'm going to go where it's more expensive. Because there's some more expensive places where they had tile service and everything. And at that time, it was about $50 a month. Well, that was a chunk of change for me. I was happy with my 29.99 a month. But I said that's what I would change it to, the $50. But it wasn't just the $50. You had to pay some other stuff. It just wasn't just straight 50. I forgot how much it all round up to, but it was kind of expensive. But I was willing to try the experience just to get closer to, in a better atmosphere. Because I'm telling you, Zero's cousins, I don't know. They just, hey, them people was minimum wage. They wasn't trying to look out for nobody. They did the bare minimum. Oh, some tissue missing? Here you go. Here's a roll. Put it on there yourself. And that was it.
Damn.
So that's my little chit chat. But would you like to add to the story or experience, Vonda? Lady
Well,
V?
well, I've never had an experience like that, thank God. But what about if they put something like an access code on the locker room, meaning, female access codes are only going to get them into the women's portion, and males access codes will only get them in to the male side. It depends on the makeup of how it's made up. A lot of these places are kind of like, like college type gym locker rooms where there is no closure to close the door. It's just like a walk-in where you just walk in. I mean, if they're not going to have, anyone there to patrol, because at certain times of the evening, especially late, and let's not talk about 24-hour, you know, they don't have a ton of people in there at all times. So let's say, you go in there really late, might be two, three people, maybe 10 people,
Hmm.
you know, and that can be a little bit, dangerous, because what's to stop, someone from walking over to your side, like with this gentleman. I'm sure she screamed, maybe that's why it brought someone to help her. But
Right.
it's like these people is like they're just, "Oh, okay, let me just go sneak in here and see what I can find." I mean, is this like, just a old, homeless bum criminal? I mean, he could have a disease or, drug addict. You don't know. It's like, who does this? What type of person just walks into a gym, goes to the ladies' locker room, looks for the first person in the shower and starts, trying to, sexually assault her? Who does that?
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's awful. I don't, there's so many women out there that are willing. I guess those are not as appealing because they're willing. So maybe that's it. They want someone that not interested. I don't know, but it's sad. It's sad, and glad they
But
got them.
yeah, well, SA and grape are not about sex, they're about power
Right.
and control, right? So someone
I
who's
do
very
remember
eager and
that.
willing to touch you or to let you touch them doesn't really feel very powerful or controlling in that, toxic way that they need, right? I mean, I think most people who are healthy and normal who like control and power and to be the controlling power dominant one, right? They engage in things like BDSM, right? With
Hmm.
and the agreed upon nature and the fact that someone is handing over their trust and complete power is actually part of the stimulation. But for sickos and whatever, it is the dominance and the control and you being powerless. They're getting off on that concept. They can do what they want, they can take what they want, no one can stop them, whatever. So, and that's why I said, like, honestly, short of there being an actual human that is physically monitoring the ins and outs of who's getting in and out of these rooms, no, there's not really much you can do because
Yeah.
you get codes. People will look over people's shoulders. People will write it down on pieces of paper and lose those pieces of paper. Someone will watch you get your piece of paper, see where you put it, and people are really good pickpockets. I mean, the list goes on and on for how people would still be able to get in, you know, or someone throws away their code from last night, someone picks it up. I mean, there's so many different ways, and that's the problem. That's why you need some type of human mechanism. If the human mechanism is literally when you're ready to go into the room, maybe you press a buzzer, and then security then comes up and sees the face who's about to try to get into the room and then buzzes them in. So now you have a record of who just walked in. You can confirm who it is, right? If you're not sure because they look iffy, you can cross check with their membership ID or whatever to confirm their gender. That's registered on the membership ID. Good to go, right? So either that or a physical human. But what they have proven is that when people feel watched, or they think or they know that they are actively being watched by eyes, by another human's eyes, is the only thing really that mitigates human behavior. So without people thinking that they are being observed about to do the bad thing, they're going to be observed and then therefore caught because I'm watching you do it. It's unlikely to change their behavior.
Yeah. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. If I remember this, I didn't play this in a little while, a week or so, and I believe this is kind of brutal. I sped it up, and we'll go through this. Oh boy.
Justice system. A woman on her way to work at Kennedy Airport was pummeled to the ground, punched, and then kicked at the air train station in Howard Beach. This video is from security cameras at that station. Police did make an arrest, and it turns out the suspect has a long history of attacking people. The victim spoke exclusively to Eyewitness News reporter Injay Burkett.
Do you know how scared I am now? I was never a person to be scared.
Elizabeth Gomes was beaten so badly, she stands to lose the vision in her right eye. Her head throbs with pain, and she's barely slept in a week. Not since she was attacked in the Howard Beach Air Train Station 6 days ago.
I can't see anything on my right side, honestly. And it just hurts.
Elizabeth was on her way to work at JFK. She had just gotten off the A train, was headed up the stairs to the air train platform when she was attacked from behind, smashed in the head with a bottle, and she never saw it coming.
In the MTA surveillance video, Elizabeth is dragged across the concourse and slammed headlong into a wall. She is punched mercilessly and kicked repeatedly. When a man tries to intervene, he is chased away before the suspect turns back to Elizabeth and kicks her 5 times before he calmly walks away into the transit system. She says he was muttering incoherently about Satan in the moments before the attack.
He's talking about the devil. He's talking about a whole bunch of nonsense.
Her husband is heartbroken and furious.
Man, I watch the video and I tear my heart out. You hear me?
The suspect was later arrested, identified by police as 41-year-old Wahid Foster. In 1995, law enforcement sources say Foster was arrested for murdering his 82-year-old foster grandmother in a brutal beating at the age of 14. 6 years later, he was arrested for stabbing his 21-year-old sister with a screwdriver. What? And in 2010, arrested for attacking 3 workers at the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center where he was an inpatient. He was on parole at the time of last week's attack.
I don't know what to say. This is
Rabid dog? That's what he sounds like. All those charges, he sounds like a rabid dog. And looking at that video, the way that he did that woman, rabid dog.
I just, I don't have the answer to this. What do you do when you have people like this that their whole life they're very violent? I mean, I don't know. Is there a medication that will keep the person stable? I don't know, but I thought this was very awful. And the fact that there was no one around, that the place was empty. And I thought New York is very busy. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that before. Just clear. It's not even like that in Chicago. I mean, we may have some late nights, but it's never that clear. That was just brutal. And I'm like, what is to come? That's what I'm wondering. What is to come? And this man was on parole. I'm like,
He
wow.
just looked out of control. It's like, to me, the only thing that could have stopped him was, some hard force, some steel, something with gunpowder in it, because that dude was just not stopping. And that woman was absolutely no match for his rage. Not only that, but her size and stature. I mean, and to be surprised, I mean, to first get cold cocked with a bottle from behind, and then he just proceeds to just slam her. And all those times he kicked her and then walked away because he chased the other dude off and then came back and kicked her some more, a half a dozen more times.
I think the biggest problem with this one is that, his first crime, or at least the first thing that he was arrested for, is murder, right? He murdered his own grandmother, but he was probably charged as a child and convicted as a child. And therefore, if you're convicted as a child, then there's a statute of limitations on how long your charge can be, because once you're an adult, they have to release you. So, they kept him in the juvenile system and then released him. And then, he did something else violent and they locked him back up. And then, he does something else violent and then they, and it's just like, it's this back and forth thing. And the thing is that when it comes to murder, if the murder was like the fifth thing he did, then you can be like, oh, well, he's done all these crimes and murder. Okay, we're going to give you life. But the thing is that what probably did happen, he probably was diagnosed with something like, maybe he has an explosive disorder or some other type of disorder. Who knows? Is there a way to mitigate and control these things? Yes, absolutely. There's lots of drug protocols to mitigate all kinds of behavior, from pedophilia to a homicide to violent outbursts. But here's the problem. While there's absolutely medications to stop people from behaving these ways uncontrollably, the problem is that it would be unconstitutional to be able to force people to comply with taking the medication. So that presents you with the problem. Whereas, and if you know for sure, once these people are unmedicated, that they're a danger to themselves and others, it doesn't mean you can force them into taking the medication anyway. They are still free to stop taking that medication at will and then become a danger to themselves and others as soon as they are no longer under, like, say, the care of some type of psychiatric center or something like that, somewhere that's making them behave in a certain way, or prison. But when you're a free person walking around the streets, they can't make you take the drugs that would keep everyone safe, right? Like, unfortunately. So who knows? I mean, I don't know if he was diagnosed though, right? If he was, I don't know with what. So I don't know.
Yeah. That just was horrific.
That was horrific. It was quite traumatizing to watch. I'm sure going through it was even worse.
Right. And all because she rejected him.
Is that what happened? Did he try to, like, talk to her or get with her or something?
Yeah, it was out of rejection. Yeah. I'm like, I just.
Well, I mean, again, the first crime that he committed that we know of, he was 14 years old, and in a rage, he beat his grandmother to death.
Right.
So probably his only guardian at that time. Also, and I mean, if you can murder when you're 14 years old, if you can murder your own grandmother and the person who's raising you and loving you, and like the one person who's always going to be on your team no matter what, if you can murder that person, like, and they haven't done you anything, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just got mad. Like, that should have told people right then and there, like the DA. And I don't know why they don't do this. The DA and people, instead of trying to care about all these caseloads and stuff, sometimes they should be making deals based on, like, public safety. But this is the second time we've seen a subway case.
Right.
And when we looked at it, we're like, they did not make any care. Like their decisions had nothing to do with public safety. This is the second time we've seen it. They just keep letting very dangerous people out who every time you let them out, they're gonna seriously injure people. And then you put them away for 6 months and then let them back out. And you're like, do you care? Like,
right. What do you want?
Right. Terrible. This is like the second one. I swear to God, we saw one like not even like 6 months ago. They did the same thing. You're like, so you got a bunch of innocent people in prison from holding a dime of weed, right? Like for like 50 years, right? Still fighting to get out, even now, even though it was decriminalized how long ago, right? But these psychopaths, right, can just go around beating the ever living daylights out of people, killing people, proving that they are unsafe to themselves and others. And they'll be like, oh, where you live? Oh, in the poor black community? Yeah, we'll let you back out. Go ahead. You're going to go back to the black community though, right? Yeah? Oh, yeah, okay, you can go out. Like, that's clearly what happened. I don't understand. It's disgusting.
It seems like that's the talk. The next video I have, for some reason, it is not coming up, and I really want you to see the video. And I've been through all these ads, and it's coming up with other articles. Darn, there's nothing I can do about it. You really, that's all I can say. You really need to see the video. It's interesting, to say the least. In fact, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna see if I can find another video of this, because it's important you see it. It adds to the story. I have one thing I just really want to point out about this particular story, and that's all I'm gonna talk about, is one particular thing. I mean, I get the whole story, but that's just how I am. Sometimes I see just one thing and I just want to harp in on that. So let me bring up something else here. And this is a couple of sisters that decided to say, hey, I ain't giving up. I would not suggest that any woman or anyone, fight for your goods. I mean, I get it. You feel some kind of way, but you can be harmed. So don't do it. Give up the keys and just let it go. All right. Sharing. And here we go.
But that wild video of twin sisters confronting a car thief at a gas station.
What happened next can be difficult to watch. Our Jermont Terry joins us live from Calumet City with more on the crime and the family's fight for justice. Jermont?
Joe and Erica, the thief pulled into this gas station moments after stealing that car. But what played out next left those twin sisters in a scary and dangerous situation, which was all captured on camera in this parking lot.
You're watching a man fight two sisters who tried getting back their car stolen moments earlier. This video becomes harder to watch because the guy drives off, sending Carla Jenkins onto the hood before she's thrown to the ground.
My sister was just unconscious. I have a stage 2 brain bleed.
Lasting injuries for Carla. She and her twin Cameron's ordeal ended at this Citgo and Sibley in Calumet City. Their problem started while filling up their separate cars at another gas station. A man walks up
and pushes me down. Just was like, just push me. I said, call 911. He hops right in and peels right off.
The thief pulls out of the mobile gas station, drives over the Bishop Ford, then turns into the Citgo a few blocks away. Surveillance video shows the man parking the stolen car. He goes inside.
So we pull in. We finna get my stuff back.
But as they try to get their car back, the man runs out and starts fighting Cameron.
Just saw my sister fighting this dude, so it was just like, what do I do?
Watch as Carla tries opening the passenger door, but it's locked. That's when you see her walk in front of the car.
If you see me in front of the car, he's not gonna want to hit me. He's not gonna want to drive off.
But she's wrong. The man leaves both sisters seriously injured. An ambulance rushes them to the hospital. What's more frustrating is this happened in late April, and the man is still on the run.
Ran my sister over, threw me out of the moving car just like we were like trash. He needs to be arrested.
Now, the sisters are the ones who recently got a hold of this surveillance video. They shared it online, and since posting it, they have received some tips and even possible locations of who this person could be and where he hangs out. That's why they're even more perplexed as to why Calumet City Police have not been able to track this man down. Police telling us tonight that it's still an open investigation.
Yes, it always is. I'm not trying to jump on no hood for no car and all of that. Unless maybe my children are in there, but I would not suggest to try to save a vehicle, people. Just let it go. You can get another one. You have insurance.
I'm a little confused as to if they tracked the car to the Citgo. Very weird name for a gas station, but okay. If they were able to track the car there, why were they not able to continue tracking the car? Like, how did they track the car down the street and into the Citgo?
Maybe there's an app for that.
Right? So then wouldn't there still be an app for that after he left again? I mean, I don't know. Like, I understand how one of them, is they're unconscious and so on and so forth, but like, like where's I just feel like what happened? Like, I just feel like something broke down. Like, you got this far and you decided to be Caped Avengers and it didn't work out. Okay, I understand. Because you're not Caped Avengers. Fine. Right? But then from there, when you decide, okay, let's let the police take over from here, what happened to the tracking thing? Like, just
Yeah, I don't even know what it looks like, if they could disconnect it or if that's what happened. Like you say, well, how come they couldn't continue to track it?
Yeah.
Right.
Or not unless the women didn't necessarily track it. Maybe they saw it or someone saw it. Oh, I see your car over here. I mean, who knows? I mean, like, I mean, if it's a small area, who knows? Like, oh, is that Amber's car? Amber, I see your car down here at Citgo. I thought it was stolen, or whatever. I don't know.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you never know when it comes down to these stories, but
I am not a police officer and I'm not trying to apprehend nothing.
Okay.
People are desperate. When someone takes something from you, may it be your actual person or an item, they're willing to take your life for it. They definitely take your body. They're willing to take what they want from you and unalive you, right then and there. They take your iPhone from you. They're ready to unalive you for that iPhone. They take, what a purse from you because they think something's in it. Could be absolutely nothing, but they're ready to unalive you for that. A vehicle, they will unalive you for that, and we'll say, nobody's life is worth a car or a pair of shoes or a phone, but these people will unalive you for small trinkets. Those are trinkets, that they would just completely unalive you for just because they don't be taking back from me what I took from you. It's like, wait, what?
It's your stuff. Yeah. Oh, I tell you.
And they're willing to be violent with it. I mean, when I was a kid, we had break-ins in the neighborhood. And so our home was, vandalized. They broke in, they vandalized, they took a lot of things, in those days it was, TVs and VCR, those were the main things, if you had it, those were the expensive things. It was the TV was the main thing, but they had gotten a suede jacket from my dad. I mean, they went like personal, and took stuff. And, my dad, had gone to the local high school, because, we had dogs and we would walk our dogs and stuff. So you had to get your dogs out, So he went and, up at the school and he saw a man or a young dude with his jacket on. My dad went and removed the jacket from the dude. Hey, that's my jacket.
Okay.
And my dad went and got his jacket back. That could have been all bad because people will, will unalive you for taking your stuff back from them. How dare you, do that? But my dad said he knew that was his jacket. He went and took his jacket back. Didn't even wait for dude to take it off. He took it off of him. Took his jacket back. That's my jacket.
Okay.
That was the end of the jacket.
Even if it's your jacket, it's mine now. How about that? Go on, Dad.
But they say possession is 9/10 of the law, y'all. So remember that.
We didn't get nothing else back, but my dad got his jacket back. I mean, it's like goodness.
Okay. Now this story, I can't find the video. The video was so important because the guys got out the car and they went over to chase some other people, and then only so many people got back in the car, drove off, and left old boy behind. That in itself is entertaining. Unfortunately, like I said, the video isn't there, so I can't give you the visuals. Sorry. So all I can do is just tell you what happened. So let me get it. Carjacking team accidentally left one gunman behind as cops move in, prosecutors say. The old adage, leave no man behind, apparently does not apply to Chicago's carjacking squads. Prosecutors on Wednesday said Chicago police officer rolled upon an armed hijacking in progress early Tuesday, and the carjacking team sped away in two hijacked vehicles. Well, most of the carjacking team did. They allegedly left Jashawn Wallace behind. He is now being held without bail. A CPD license plate reader detected a freshly hijacked Ford Edge near the 8700 block of South Halsted around 1 a.m. Tuesday, and patrol officers flooded the area in search of the vehicle. In a stroke of remarkable timing, a couple of officers spotted the hijacked car at the intersection of 87th and Vincennes, where it was being used in another carjacking. What I found very interesting about Mr. Wallace here is he has braces. You have to understand that costs. There's no insurance that says, oh, your child needs braces, here you go. No, you pay out of pocket. And you got to go for adjustments and cleanings and all of that. It is costly. So this isn't just his parents, whoever the guardians, well, I do know his mother. It isn't any very low income. So I'm wondering what this dude is out here in the street running around with the boys. The car was blocking the path of a woman's Infiniti at the red light. 3 men got out of the edge, and all 3 pointed guns at her while ordering her out of the car. They opened the doors and forced her out, just as the cops were pulling up, according to officials. All of the carjackers fled in a woman's Infiniti and the edge, but one lonely Jashawn Wallace, wearing a ski mask on his head and latex gloves on his hands, was left behind, prosecutors said. He was allegedly holding a loaded pistol with a laser sight and an extended magazine attached. Wallace tried to run away and ditch the gun, but cops arrested him immediately, a prosecutor said during his bail hearing Wednesday afternoon. The cops found the gun nearby. According to his defense attorney, he just graduated from high school, lives with his mother, and has no prior convictions. He just graduated from high school. He just graduated. This story is August 31st. He just did the ceremony, I guess June, I don't know, 9th, 10th. Going down the aisle, dun, 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 whatever the music was. He pulls his tassel to the other side, maybe threw his cap up in the air, yay! And you graduated to that? What happened? What's going on? Why? I'm confused. I am so confused. Your parents or parent, whoever, they trying to get you together. They understand that if you got that gap in your teeth, that's going to affect your speech pattern, and you growing up to a, nice young man doing whatever you want to do in life besides this, but you hanging out with these guys and robbing people. What happened? Is he just trying to be down? This just seems so off to me. So off.
Just a follower. Because at the end of the day, he need them braces. You can see the gap from here. And for him to think, at 18, you're gonna go to jail, and the jail's gonna take care of your braces and all your appointments. Not only are you gonna waste the money that your parents had already spent on your raggedy mouth, it's gonna be even more raggedy because they're gonna have to take that mess off. They're probably gonna take it off for safety reasons anyway, like they do, like they make you take your jewelry off, that's metal in your mouth. All somebody got to do is just pop you, and that's a whole bloody mess, and you need to go see the medic. So they're probably gonna rip those things off of his teeth. And then all the work that has been done, them spaces just gonna space out again, and you might even lose some teeth, with that tension just going back and forth quickly like that. It's ridiculous. It's like you got a mouthful of metal. Where do you think you're going with that, dude? You're not even taking care of yourself, and you have the nerve to get into some trouble like this.
Telling you.
I disagree. I'm going to show you why I disagree. So here you go, Char. I am going to post this for you. I don't even have to break it down. Y'all going to see exactly what my answer is. I just posted it in the private chat. Now, here is the false assumption you made. You made a false assumption that some mommy or daddy or grandma or auntie or guardian loved him and bought him braces. I disagree with that premise. And
you sure that's Deshaun? Are you sure? Because there's a lot of them out there.
You know what? I really think that little boy, okay, because if you look at because other than the money he posted on his Twitter, right, and just earlier this year, his last post was like in 2016, and I paused a couple of those gifts and I looked, and I'm like, it does look like a younger him. Like it is a younger boy, looks like the age about lines up, okay? Now, and that's why I said, I'm like, when you look at how much money is in those last two posts, right? What you see, first of all, is years of gap between his last Twitter media and the money this year, right? But it's a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot of money. And it's just so reminiscent to me of how this always works. Because it always works in this way where, unfortunately, when these kids, because what happened with my cousins, when these kids have, yeah, that's him, and that's his money that he posted this year. You see that money? You think that his mama, that's what his mama's boss. Look at this money. See, there's 2016, and then the money from before that was 2000. Do you see what I'm saying? This is what happened. No one was raising this boy, and then someone on the street said, "Come, I'll be your daddy. Look how much money you can make, little man. Look how much money you can make, little man." That's where he got that money from, right? So what they said was, listen, no one loves you, no one's taking care of you, no one cares about you, right? But I'll care about you. Come on, come belong to the streets, right? And that's what happened right there.
Yeah, because let me see.
The other one, there's a GIF. It's moving really fast, but you can pause it and look. I am saying it. I think it is him. Just it really in the GIF that's moving, you can pause and see his face closer, and to me, it looks just like him. But you can look.
Okay, so if he's 18 And this was 2016.
Then he was a little
Minus
boy.
that.
So that's like 12, 13, right? And that's what he looks like in this picture. He looks like a little boy, right?
Shoot, these little runts, they be looking like this anyway, but okay. Let's see what we can find.
Yeah, go the next one down. I think it's like the next one down. It's a GIF. It's moving. And it's of him. There. See? Okay, so now you pause this little boy. I'm telling you that's him. Look, you can see there's flashes where you're like, oh, that's that's that little boy. I'm telling you that's a little boy. I'm telling you that's him. That's him. That's not him. That's probably the man who said, "Come, I'll be your daddy."
That's probably his
You
dad.
see him with his little boy with all that money? You see what I'm saying? The streets are raising him. That's what happened. Right there. You see that little boy? Just a kid trying to be grown. Because they say, yo, listen, gee, all you got to do is stand right here. And when this person shows up, you hand them this and look at all this money I'm going to give you in 20s. It's going to look like $1 billion because nobody's taking care of you. That's how these little idiots roll. And that's what happened with my cousin, right? His father just refused to be a father. His mom was great, but she had to work like 3 jobs to try to keep that roof over the kid's head. So she was never around, right? That boy was
not that wide though.
You can't even see the other tooth. Where is it?
I thought it was there.
You can't even see the other tooth. They probably ain't even grown in yet.
Up in his jaw. That's why he needed the braces.
You see that picture? Look at his eyes. Look at his face. Does that not look just like a young him? Look, it's him. It's him, but 12. I swear that's him.
Old computer.
Yeah, that's the best that he could get in 2016. You see? That's what I'm saying. That's why the streets were raising him. You look at that his little mean face. You see? Look. Sure, that's him. You know that's him. That's him. So
our only reason, because there's so many of them. When I Google the name, I'm like, dang, everybody got the same name.
I know.
That's the only reason why I'm still. Let me see if I can find something with Chicago, and then I'll say okay.
Okay. I'll give you that opportunity. I already know I'm right. But okay, let's pretend I'm not right about this one of the millions being him. I still believe that my explanation is right because it would still track, right? Because it happens all the time, right? These unloved or just boys who don't have parents who have time for them. Maybe the parents are on drugs. Maybe the parents are in jail, whatever it is, right? And the streets start raising them. And the way that the streets raise them is by making it very easy. You don't have to do anything. There's no risk to you, right? You just mind your business. You stand here with this bag. Someone's going to come pick up that bag from you, give you a whole bunch of money. And you're going to be eating like a king and you haven't been able to eat properly in 6 months. And you're going to finally get those J's that you really wanted. And you're going to finally get a phone and you always wanted one. You know, you're not gonna have to be a loser and get beat up at school anymore. That's how they sell them. That's how they get them into the lifestyle, right? And so that's probably what happened. If you are being taken care of, then petty anti-crime doesn't appeal to you. You know what I mean? Because your parents are willing to take care of you. Your parents have the ability, they have the means, they have the care. So they're gonna provide things to you that kind of theft isn't gonna be able to provide for you. And it would be at great cost to you because if you have parents who are buying you braces and they're probably also paying for your education fund. They're probably also paying for this. They're probably also paying for that, right?
But see, one people need to realize also is that, you know, just because the parents, you know, were able to afford braces, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were well off. You know, like, you know, I listen to, you know, Dave Chappelle sometimes and he says something, you know, and it kind of stuck with me. You know, he's like he didn't grow up in the projects. He didn't grow up poor. He grew up around a whole bunch of white people. And his thing was that he grew up poor around a whole bunch of white people, meaning so he wasn't with black people. He grew up, you know, with not a lot of money, but he was in a much better situation, but they didn't have a lot of money, you know. So in this particular, you know, instance, this gentleman, you know, his family could have been able to afford braces, but it wasn't like they could, you know, afford Jordans and Xboxes and, the latest and greatest fashion, chains and things of that nature. I mean, the time will tell when we can see, if he's able to, bond out. Now, where did this happen again?
In Chicago.
Okay, well, he might be free and clear. They about to get rid of that cash bump. So he might be just good. It wouldn't matter how poor or rich the family was. He ain't going to jail. That was like a jaywalking ticket, what he just got. So yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But he had braces. Doesn't mean that the family is well off. They may have had just enough money to afford them braces for him because it was something that he medically, mouth was just so raggedy he needed to have those.
Yeah, not necessarily well off, but the average, and I do mean average, that little, you'd be surprised, them the darn deductibles and co-pays and all that. That's what I'm like, she had something, whatever her parents had something, and that was something that was important to them to give this their son. And I just find it interesting. But I will say, Ruby, he is following 3 news channels that are in Chicago.
See?
He is
I
follow-
did look. I looked properly. I was like, this is him, because it's also the spelling. Just apparently, this is a very popular name, first and last name, but most of them, the spellings are a tiny bit different.
Different,
Like,
yeah.
just
One of
a
them got an
tiny.
extra U, other one got an extra J
Yeah.
in it, and
Right, and I'm like, this one has the same oddball spelling as the because it's the kind of Sean that no one uses, SHAUN, to begin with. So it's JASHAUN. I already think that's a weird spelling of it anyway. And I'm like, you got that with the Wallace. I'm like, and then I was analyzing. I'm like, yo, that's his kid's face. I just know I just know it. I feel it in my soul. And it explains so much. No, but you know what? I think the reason why though too, like, and I get what you're saying, Vaughn. I do. I mean, I grew up in the same circumstances, but again, what you'll notice is that when you have parents who are invested in you, again, they tend to make the same types of investments. So they wouldn't, for example, if they're going to invest in your braces because they find that money, they're also investing in other things to try to help you get a leg up in the world any way they can. And you're not going to throw that all away because they have worked very hard to give you a better life. If someone was working really hard to give him a better life, he again it wouldn't be so easy for him to just walk out his door and go join up with the criminals, which means
oh
he's
yes,
living with the criminals.
that's where I will disagree with you. I would say yes, it is. His parents got him, or we don't know if it was mom and dad or just mom, but he got the quote unquote cheap braces. He didn't get Invisalign. There was nothing invisible in that mouth, so he got the lower tiered braces. You get the metal mouth. Those are the lower tiered ones. But yet and still, they're still braces, and they don't come cheap. They didn't just tie rubber bands on his teeth and said, hey, there you go. But I know of several situations where you have parents who did put into their kids, and the kid was just like, I just got to be out in them streets. It does happen. Not every kid that goes to the street was the product of a crack fiend mother and a dad who was in prison or murdered in the streets or raised by their grandmother.
No, you're right. Some people want to be raised by the streets, but then you see others, they're actually very spoiled. They're the opposite way. They're very spoiled, they're very privileged, and it's really cool to have struggle, especially if you're a Black person. So like you're really working hard to be part of the struggle life so you can be cool and Black. So we've seen that too. But again, what you don't see is the middle. It's a middle ground, right? It's like the story of the middle ground. These middle ground kids tend to be the ones, again, it's like, my parents are working really hard, they finally were able to afford this for me, I saw how they scrimped, they saved, and they sacrificed for me, right? And I'm just gonna throw that all away because I don't care. No, I think more so this kid did care about himself. I don't think he had a lot of people in his corner on his team, which is why I think that he got in. They were able to snatch him up from young, which is why he had all that money at 16 years old. You don't get that, or not 16, in 2016. So at 14, 13, 12 years old, he had that much money. He got that money from criminal stuff. And you don't get to be a criminal rolling and rocking at criminal hours at 12, 13 years old if someone is watching you. You just don't. You're too young. So that means nobody was watching him and no one was on his side. That's just what it comes down to. It might not be for horrible reasons. Like I said, maybe his mom has to work 3-4 jobs. She doesn't have another person on her team to help with the kids. But the point is no one was on his team. So the streets snatched him up and started raising him. And he bought himself braces because he makes a lot of money and he did care about himself. If he didn't care about himself, he wouldn't have graduated from high school, right? So he kept going. He wanted to be something. This was his way of getting to somewhere. He wanted to get the hell out of the hood. He wanted to get out of this life. He wanted to probably get his family out of this life, right? And this was his ticket to doing it, right? So I don't think that he's like a throwaway kid. I actually think that he did all of this himself because he cared about himself, but he just didn't have another way.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Yes, it is.
Look at you. You found me. Got some energy out of me today, Char. Good job. Okay. I didn't think I was going to find any.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a story. This was shared to me actually by Lady V here. And I think this is awful. The ego is something else, and I will play it for you.
Oh my God, I wanted to see this story. Thank you, Vonda and Char. Okay, I'm so excited. I mean, not like excited, it's terrible, but I mean, I wanted to know what this was about, so.
Okay, here we go. Uh-oh.
Ball game.
The victim's family says the shooter was a friend, but police have not named him publicly as a suspect. The shooting happened Monday evening in the South Dallas area on Hamilton Avenue, not far from Fair Park. Fox 4's Sean Rabb reporting live from DPD headquarters tonight. Sean.
Yeah, Steve, police haven't given us the name of a suspect or a motive yet, but Asia Womack's mother tells me the 21-year-old was shot 5 times and killed by a man she had befriended and helped, someone that she called a friend. Hard to understand, reportedly getting angry over losing a basketball game to a woman and then killing her. And because she was supposedly a friend, even more difficult for this family to understand.
Asia loved basketball.
Yes, she did.
She loved basketball to the point to where she died doing what she loved. And she shouldn't have died that way.
A mother mourns her murdered daughter, 21-year-old Asia Womack, killed Monday evening after playing basketball at T.G. Terry Park, just up the street from her home, where family gathered, grieving.
This was supposed to be a friend of Asia's. She's eaten with this man, she's fed him, and he turned on her and killed her in a vicious way.
Womack was a whiz at basketball, playing her high school days at Madison. Monday, family says she was in a pickup game at the park, playing against the guy who is said to have shot her, and she won. The family also says there was trash talk, too.
But this is so senseless. This is so, you become embarrassed, basically, because a female beat you in basketball.
According to the family, the shooter took his kids and brother home and came back to the park, shooting Asia Womack 5 times. Cameras at this store possibly capturing the car speeding away. We're told detectives took the video.
Detectives are still working the case. No one is in custody at this time. They've been working it since Monday night, trying to find justice for Ms. Womack.
My prayer is that justice be served, that he is found and that he will give up or turn himself in.
If you know where he is, where his whereabouts are, please, please turn him in. Help the family out. We're hurting.
So homicide detectives are trying to track down this person right now. Listen, Crime Stoppers offering a $5,000 reward if you know where he is for any information leading to a
Did they even mention his name? They just keep saying this person.
Right.
I'm
And
like, what person? They
because I had some more information of them. I don't see my tab, but this she's okay. She was 21 years old. He was 31. So there was a possibility he wasn't gonna win anyway. But let me see if I can find the updated one.
That's crazy. That was premeditated because he actually took people home and did it. Now, and probably had to go and get his pal to do it.
That's just ridiculous.
But
So
his
you
children,
lost.
okay, kids, daddy will be back. How do you take your kids home and then go unalive someone a woman who beat you at basketball? I have actually played basketball with boys when I was a kid, and I beat them, and I gave them hell for it.
You trash talk
I
them,
gave
girl.
them hell for it because that's just what you do. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
trash talk.
I got you. You know, I mean, that could have been that's crazy. That was unimaginable to me when I heard this story.
Really?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that
like,
someone would
really?
be that violent. Now, the guy that I beat in basketball, yeah, he was upset, but I mean, this was in Watts, Watts, LA, where it was seriously a lot of gang violence, but that wasn't anything that I feared, but these were just neighborhood kids and we were playing some basketball. And, basically it was a dare like, oh, you're a girl. You can't, beat me. It was like, in Love and Basketball when she beat the boy and he pushed her, there was no violence at all. Everything was cool, but he was like, oh, whatever. I'm like, oh, I got you. Like, man, you let her get you like that. And then, of course, he made up a reason why I was able to beat him, and he was satisfied with that, and that was all he needed to do, and that was it.
Yeah, but you see, here's the difference. First of all, different era,
Absolutely.
right? And so there's a big. I think that there's. Okay, let me start. I'm going to go from beginning to end of my point.
Okay.
It's a several multi-layered point, y'all. So please bear with me. I promise I'm not going to ramble though. There's going to be mentions of several things. Okay. So let's start at the beginning, where you throw like a girl, you punch like a girl, you hit like a girl, da 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 da. The older you are, the more that belief system was ingrained in you, right? So there's a big difference between the 21-year-olds and the 31-year-olds as far as how deeply they were conditioned and how deeply they were shamed for not being able to beat a girl in something, right? Because these 21-year-olds and younger, they're starting to grow up in a world of, I'll say, more meritocracy, not equality, right? So there are some girls who are really great at sports, and there are some girls who are going to be stronger, and there are going to be some girls who are going to be better at math, and that's okay. It's okay. We live in a more meritocracy than ever before. So that's thing one. Thing two would be the internet and the influence of the internet and the influence of these massive male spaces telling men, right, that women are physically inferior in all ways. Also mentally inferior in most ways, but physically inferior in all ways, right? And so you would have to be a woman or failing in all levels of masculinity for a woman to beat you in a fist fight. You listen to some of the things that Andrew Tate got banned for saying, and that's in essence what he was saying, right? Like, there's no point on women learning self-defense. They just have to learn how to run because, no matter what you're trying, a man is just going to punch you in the face and he'll just break your face and da da da. You can never hit a man and hurt him, and you're just a woman, right? The thought is so pervasive now, right? And it's being overly bastardized in a way that the men who it's really being targeted towards, who are really, really taking it hyper seriously, are young incels, right? And kind of like this 30 plus crowd who feels like they're failing somewhere in life, which would target this guy who's 31, right? And he probably also has been told a lot by these internet spaces that, a woman 10 years younger right? That's a perfect age for him, right? Because she's young, she has had less D's in her life, so on and so forth. And of course, he's the prize because he's the man. So she should feel lucky to get this 31-year-old guy with a bunch of kids. You know, yeah, and so, he probably has tried to be, picking her up or sleeping with her, so on and so forth, trying to impress her with all of his masculinity, and it just isn't working. And then, this is like the final straw. Like she proved like, oh, she's better than you at sports. It's almost like she's more masculine than you are. You're a failure. You're such a failure. This 21-year-old girl is more masculine than you, and she won't sleep with you, right? So I'm like, you put all these things together. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not at all surprised that this was the reaction. Like, this is where we're going in society, right? Is they're selling these men hopelessness. They are selling these men abject and total annihilation and failure. They are selling these men like just a bill of goods that is not accurate, and they can't take it. And I don't even blame them. Like they're just.
But let me ask you this though.
Mhm.
So wouldn't it be more stressful to have to say, or his peers say, man, you got rid of a woman because she beat you in basketball? Isn't that worse than just saying you got beat in basketball by, and it was only one game? Wouldn't it be worse?
Probably, I will say two things. Number one, I'm sure the chick said an insult that, guys maybe even say to each other, but when it comes from a girl that you've been turned down sexually from, and now she just also embarrassed you in other, masculinity bearing ways, and then she made some type of razzing joke against you, right? And then in front of his kids on top of it, right? You put all of those factors, and then on top of his boys, everyone else in the park heard it and saw it and whatever. So then you get to the Boondocks episode that Dre showed me, where with the two guys, and it was like over some nonsense, and they're willing to pull out guns and start shooting each other, and then like the same situation happened, but it's like one black guy and one white guy, and then when they get to the place where it's like you're supposed to be pulling guns, the white guy stops and goes, "Wait a minute, I'm white," and then he turns around and just walks away. I think that that's part of the issue. It's that respect thing, and what you got to do for respect, and how you got to defend your honor and your respect at all costs. And it's like, yeah, but the logic should tell you that the fact that you got beat by a girl is not going to get better if you then have to go home and get a weapon and take her out permanently over a game, right? Like that's
No
the logic.
rematch.
Yeah, right. Like that's the logic should tell you that this makes you even more emotional and even more lacking
I
in
agree.
masculinity, right?
That's what I find to be so ironic is that, women are constantly being said, oh, you guys are emotional. You're emotional. But it's the emotional men who can't take it and want to, annihilate everybody in front of them when something doesn't go his way. It's almost like men and women can't even be in, like social settings and a woman just being who she is. This girl loved basketball. She played basketball. And from what it was said by her mom, she was a baller. This girl played basketball. So my thing is that you come up against a man who quote unquote calls himself a baller, and then you guys play, for fun. You play. It's fun for her, but for him, it's like, oh no, I can't be beat by a woman. They don't want to be they don't want to be in competition with women. It's almost like, you don't even want to have a social setting with men because, if they say, oh, where do you work? Oh, I work here. And, they see the car you drive. And if they're not up to those standards, they feel like you're bragging or you're putting them down because you're not of a certain level. And it's like, I'm just breathing. And you have a problem with me just breathing, but it's like you almost don't even want to be bothered because it's like if if you're any inch above them in any type of a way, they want to flex and show you, hey, I'm more powerful, you know, because I can take your life. But she could have easily taken his, but the violence and the malice was not within her to do that. It's in these men, you know, with the way that they behave. They cannot control their emotions. Oh, hey, can I get your number? Oh, no, thank you. Boom, 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 boom. They want to fight you. They want to shoot you. They want to hit you in the face with a
Bite your
skateboard. They
eye.
want to bite your eyeball out and chase you down the street. And it's like, so women are just supposed to just, you know, just take anybody. But then if you take just anybody, oh, you didn't choose right, and you know, what's your problem? You just, you know, picking up anybody, and it's like, don't want to have anything to do with any of you guys. And that's where women are coming to, because these men in these instances are so violent. They are violent to the last point. And when I say the last point, meaning someone's not alive at the end of the crescendo. The crescendo of this, you know, incident. One person was standing, the other person was not, and is no longer to be seen again. And how much more final can you get?
Right. But this is what they're selling them. That's what they've been selling them, right? This is where my generation, right, would say like 25, 26 here in Canada, right, probably started earlier in America. My generation, we stopped fighting. And in fact, we started apologizing to the young bucks coming up when they stepped on our shoes. You know why? Because they were raised differently than us. Like, they came up in a different world. For us, yo, someone steps on your new kicks and you say, yo, bro, you stepped on my kicks, and they don't apologize, and you're going to fight about it, like with your fists, right? These kids, they were raised to think almost that they are weak and ineffectual, right? They were raised in such a way to think that losing a fight is like losing your soul or something. Whereas we were taught to think that the fact that you are willing to do the duel, right, win or lose, that was you maintaining your integrity and honor and respect, right? They're not raised to think that. So therefore, they think A, they're gonna lose, and B, if they do lose, then like they're gonna be shamed out of the planet and whatever. So what do? They are gonna pull a weapon right away. Right. And in a way, to an extent, they would almost rather lose their lives than lose the fight. So it's
Wow.
okay. Yeah. And I think that, again, there's a hopelessness and there's a desperation to all of this. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not surprised at all when they act like they're being sold hopelessness and desperation, and they're being sold into thinking that they are completely worthless and completely useless, and they cannot. That's all they think about themselves. Like, yeah. Seems about right? That's why as soon as you ask out a girl and she says no, you go, see, no woman's ever gonna want me. You shame me in front of everyone. Everyone noticed. You probably did it because you hate me and you wanted to embarrass me. I'm gonna show you. Right? Like, that's not a normal reaction, but it's becoming more and more of a normal reaction. And it's like, how? Well, think about everything that is the society, the media is telling them right now. And it's like, yeah, I like, I'm not saying I see it as okay. I see where it's coming from, though. I get why this is going to keep happening. It's going to keep getting worse until someone, and when I say someone, I mean like the next big Kevin Samuels, you know, that takes the manosphere by storm and then actually breaks, until someone like that decides to change the narrative, then we're going to keep going on this tangent, and it is going to keep getting worse.
I think it can continue to get worse, but I think what's going to happen is that, you know, because women happen to be the larger victim in these instances, you know, it's more like, you know, disassociate and disengage, because this was just a simple friendship, you know, and, you know, you did put in an additional innuendo that maybe he tried to get at her, you know, and, you know, she maybe rebuffed him, you know, but they were still friendly with each other, you know. But it's like, almost like, I don't even want to engage, because the minute I say something unfavorable, the amount of emotion that comes from you is so irate and so irreversible. I could be the casualty. So why even engage? Why even be bothered? Because with these guys, with all these instances, if you add them all up, there's no midpoint. There's no, I mean, it's not like he came back and, you know, pew pew in her leg. He came back and
5. Pew, 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 pew. I mean, 5. It was like he made sure she wasn't going to get up. So you get in your car, you drive, take your beautiful kids to the house, you know, okay, daddy, we see you later. You kiss your kids and you're still angry. But and through all of this, you're still angry enough to like, okay, now let me go. Where's my piece? Let me go get my steel and let me go back. And you're driving back to the park. And none of that, what was it, a cool down period or, oh, you know what, man, forget her. I just ain't gonna talk to her no more. It was no, this is gonna be the final, the end all, the be all. Never gonna see my kids again, you know, although he hasn't been found. So he's probably laid up under some woman somewhere who's hiding him, you know, because we're not even going into that. That's a whole different story, but yeah, but my thing is that it's almost like you don't even want to engage for what? Because, you know, to engage would be, you know, to put myself in jeopardy because you know what, we're not going to, you know, tiptoe around, you know, the femicide rates for Black women, you know, and this is just another casualty in that statistic. You know, people want to, you know, ignore it, act like it doesn't exist or, you know, give other reasons why it's happening. But in this situation, this woman did nothing to cause this to happen to her, but play, you know, basketball with an emotional, insecure, you know, little 7-year-old who was able to go and get, you know, some adult ammunition to come back and, you know, end her life at the end of the day. So it's like, why even engage? Because engaging with you could be the difference between my life and me being 6 feet under. Why engage? I just, it's like, no, thank you. Absolutely not. In order for me to gauge, you're going to have to chase me down, you know, to get any type of engagement from you. I don't even want to do it because it's, to me, is very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. And I don't know how it's going to go, you know. Well, that's why women keep their eyes down, no eye contact, no, you know, saying hi. The minute you smile, then that opens you up for a conversation. And then when, you know, you get in advance, you're like, oh no, I'm not interested. Then, you know, you get your, you know, your head blown off. And it's like, you know, it's not even worth it. It's like, keep going, because if they can't catch up to you, then that's just what it is.
Well, I think part of the problem with that, right, is the problem that I say on the other side with the men talking about women and child support and alimony, why marriage isn't worth it. It's like, the reality is, right, is that while the problem is certainly one that is, you know, here and getting worse, right, it is not at all. I mean, even the rates themselves are not what they sound like when people are speaking about them. There is not some massive genocide of Black women or women in the Western world that would suggest that, like, oh my God, all of these men, right, are just so predatory that we just need to avoid speaking to all of them, first of all. Second of all, though, and I think a greater problem is that not engaging doesn't help. Because not engaging just feeds into exactly the narrative that they're already being told, which is that Black women have no love, no respect, no kindness, no this, no that for the Black man. They hate the Black man, da 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 da. So the problem is that if you're going to be interacting with the world at all, like if you leave your house, right, and there's a sicko, whether you speak to that sicko, whether you walk by and ignore that sicko, whether you try to give the whole time of day and a blowjob to that sicko, the point is that the sicko, right, is still going to take the first sign that confirms their own fears and their own biases as a reason to react, and snubbing them or just not smiling at them. I mean, the kind of the stories that you hear sometimes are crazy because you don't have to engage, you don't have to interact, right?
Yeah, we do hear
But
that.
each of the stories are from women who actually engaged and were trying to be nice. Each and every story, you know, is like that, except for, you know, some where, you know, someone just comes up and attacks them. But it's usually because she engaged. Now, you know what? I'm gonna, you know, roll the dice because, you know, to be honest, I think all men can be sketchy. You know, I'm not going to look at one particular man and feel more comfortable and look at this one and not, you know what? You're men. Men are men. And that's just what it is. Men are men. And I am a woman. And I am no force for a man. You know, at the end of the day, just man against woman or woman against man. So I'm going to try to protect myself and not engage for the most part. You know, I don't talk to strangers. I just don't. I'm sorry. You know, now like you say, Ruby, if the stranger has it in his mind that he's going to find a victim, if I'm at the right place at the wrong time for him, then it's going to be my time. And that's just what it is. At the end of the day, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But what I think is that, you know, women are getting to the point where it's like, it's just dangerous, period. I mean, we've had a pandemic, and people who, you know, committed certain crimes, they're getting more crafty. They're doing more things. We have this recession. People are getting desperate. People are angry. People are angry for no reason. Someone can just look at me and just, you know, have this preconceived notion and just look at me and go, Black woman. And just, that's their alert. That's their you know, red flag. And they just may just take off on me. I couldn't have said nothing, just walked by and was minding my business and get pummeled, you know, to the ground. It could happen. It could happen. That's just what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm just taking measures to make sure I protect myself. And I just choose to not engage. It's not a foolproof. There's no foolproof. The only foolproof is to not even be on earth anymore. Then nobody can mess with you if you ain't here no more. But, you know, where am I going?
No, I disagree. See, here's the thing. On both sides of this divide, what Black people need to recognize, right, is that we are under, if the world, let's say our whole society is under an undue amount of stress from a worldwide pandemic and all the isolation and restriction and not being able to see other humans' faces anymore and so on and so forth, then our community will always be under tenfold that amount of stress and pain and devastation and heartache. Okay, because we were already there. Then you put this extra at it, it's going to make it worse. The problem is that we don't have allies, right? We don't have allyship amongst our own, whether it's same gender or opposite gender. We don't have any trust. We don't have any sense of community. We don't have any sense of support, of love, of respect. We don't have these things. And then what happens is both sides of the game are educating that side to do exactly what you just said. No. Reinforce everything that the other side already fears, the other side already thinks, that you hate them, that you're not going to engage with them, you have no love for them, you have no respect for them, that you're going to just be prejudiced and biased against them, just like the police, just like the media,
Girl,
just like the whatever.
They can think what they want to think. I don't know them people.
Yeah, but you know why you should care? You know why you should care? You know why you should care? And I'll tell you.
I
this
can't
is the
care
problem.
about everybody, Ruby.
No, the reason why you should care, the
I care
reason
about
why you
myself
should
first.
care,
I
the
care
reason
about
why you
myself
should
first.
care, the reason why you should care is because when we decide to treat people badly, we perpetuate the problem.
That's not treating anyone badly by taking care of myself. If I take care of myself, that's not doing anything to anybody else. What does me taking care of myself have to do with the next person? Absolutely nothing. I have a right to take care of myself.
Selectively not engaging with Black men because
I never
you
said
are
that.
prejudicing and biasing against Black men and treating them all like they are violent criminals who are a risk to you.
For any
is
man.
literally
It has
treating.
nothing to do with it being a Black man. That goes for any man. I don't care who he is, and I don't care how he feels. That's not my job to care about how he feels.
Yeah, but then you know what? This is
I'm
the
not
problem.
perpetuating
Yeah,
anything.
we don't care. We don't care. And as long as we don't care, we are just perpetuating the problem. And then we don't care. And then when it happens to our own, then we care.
Anything
then
from
we
me.
care.
I don't owe a strange man anything from me. I don't owe you anything, and he doesn't owe me anything.
Yeah, but the thing is that saying, I'm just not going to engage with any men because they're all violent criminals, even though like only like 3% of them are.
I never said that.
That's pretty much exactly what you said.
Very selective about who I engage with. Very selective. But strange men, no, I don't talk to strange men. I don't care who he is. I don't care what color he is. I'm very selective
with strangers all the time.
This is a dangerous world. It's
you live in a society.
World, Ruby. I can't talk to every stranger. I'm sorry. I cannot talk to every stranger just because he wants to talk to me. I don't care what his personal problems are. That's his.
You speak to strangers all the time. We all do. That's literally society. Like you cannot live in a greater community or in a greater society and not speak to strangers on a regular basis.
Right? You choose who you speak to, right? You don't just speak to somebody just because they want to talk to you.
Oh, I interact with everybody.
I don't know that.
I interact. You know what I definitely don't do is I definitely, if I was going to look at anybody and decide that, you know what, they are probably a risk, they are probably a danger, it wouldn't be me adding to the already totally false prejudice and bias against my own people. I for sure wouldn't be doing that.
Well, I just nod. That's what I normally do. They say something, I nod.
I
See?
don't look. I keep it moving.
Nodding ain't a
because
problem.
I don't have to do that. I don't have to. If someone speaks to me, I'm cordial and I will speak back. But you know what? I don't owe anybody, you know, my cordialness or, you know, my pleasantries. I don't owe anybody to that. I don't care what color they are. I don't owe them that.
You
And if
just
I
said you
want to
wouldn't,
keep
though.
walking and I got somewhere to be and I got 5 minutes to get there, me saying hello to someone, you know, just because they want to talk to me, I don't owe them that. I don't. And I have a right to keep moving. You know, if they're going to do something to me, they're going to do something to me, whether I say hello to them or not. If that's what they have in their mind.
Well, that's interesting. Both sides. I say nod. What's up? I will end it on this. I went to the store, and when the guy was giving me my salmon, he seemed like he was trying to have a conversation. I might have read him wrong, but I don't think so. He seemed to be a little bit more conversational to me. And I went on and engaged, and I gave him a woohoo, happy Friday. And you know, he gave me my bag and everything. Because there's certain type of guys that like my type, and I just know it. So I'm like, but I wasn't in the mood because normally I would, you know, flirt back, but I wasn't in the mood today. And but I just gave him, you know, a woohoo, and I was happy and thanked him and nodded and got my bag and left. So I give him a nod and then I gotta go. That's as much
Short and
as
sweet.
that was as much as I was able to engage today. I didn't have it in me. But I'm glad to have had to stream today, do a little chit and little chat and stuff like that. And next week we will skip next week, the 21st, but we'll be back on the 28th, which will be right before Halloween. And we'll talk about some scary stuff. And there's always scary stuff out there. So we'll be definitely talking about that. I want you guys to stay safe and enjoy the little sunshine while you can. You only got a couple more weeks and then we'll be changing those clocks. So get it while you can.
Early.
Yeah, get it in while you can. Get it in while you can. But until we meet again, I want you guys to stay safe and peace.
Cheers, y'all.
Peace out, family.